Good evening, everyone. Mike with Woods, Water, and Wisdom here. Just have another opportunity this evening to bring you another video. So I'm going to take that opportunity and do that. This evening I went out to dinner and I was talking with the waitress, and she was a very sweet young lady. And we were talking about your attitude and how that affects things. And then we were talking about your mind and how your attitude and your mind and how you perceive things affects your life, your outlook on life, the way you allow things to come into you, and the way you perceive things. And it reminded me of this verses here out of Ephesians chapter 4, and starting in verse 17, it's talking about the new man. It says, "This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling, have given themselves over to lewdness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning the former conduct the old man which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, that you put on the new man, which was created according to God in true righteousness and holiness." Yeah, that's a mouthful. But, we were talking, and it was so interesting. She was such a sweet young lady. And we were talking about the attitudes that people have and the way they perceive things. And she was like, I run into some rude customers, and, it kind of upsets me a little bit. She said, but I don't let it get to me, and I don't let it bother me. I try to stay just kind of up and up. And I was thinking about it. I was telling her that I had some things that happened to me when I was younger, in my high school years, and that affected me and affected how I felt about myself. And I was reading a book, and the guy's talking about how we perceive things and how it affects us, how we internalize things. And he says in this book, he said, if you went to that person today and you told them, "Hey, do you remember when you told me this and this? And I felt this way about it." He said 99% of the time they would say, "Oh, no, I don't remember that. I wouldn't have said that to you. I wouldn't have done that." And I remember this one particular girl in high school. We got into a bit of a quip, a conversation, a bit of an argument, I guess you could call it. I popped off something to her, and then she got all ugly and just chewed me up one side and down the other in front of the class. And it really bothered me, and so, I was reading this book, and the author's saying, let that stuff go. Let that stuff go. The only place it still exists is in your mind. It doesn't exist anywhere. You have internalized this stuff, and you've harbored it for years, and it's affected how you feel about yourself, who you are. It gets in there, and it affects you and how you perceive things. People build these walls. Just somebody says something, and boom, a wall goes up. And it affects how they perceive something. It affects how they communicate. They throw up their guard because of something that happened way back. And it doesn't exist anywhere anymore except in your mind. And you still take that into yourself and you harbor that, and this bitterness or this hurt or something is in there. But the weird thing is it only exists in your mind. It's in the past. And you're letting something that's occurring, something that's in the past affect how you act now. And it will affect your future if you don't change it. I remember watching this guy, he's a psychologist, and he was talking to this lady. And she was saying that someone had molested her when she was a young woman, not quite a teenager, but close to it. And, how it had affected, and she was in her early 40s, how it affected her for 30-something years. And the psychologist said, you should go to that person and you should get it off your chest and you should let them know, what they did and how it hurt you. And she says, well, I can't. They're dead. And he said, so let me get this straight. You've destroyed your life for something that happened to you 30-something years ago, and the person's dead? The person's dead. They can't even affect you anymore. They can't come to you. They can't do anything to you. They're dead, and it's still wrecking your life because you can't let go of something that happened 30 years ago. And if you don't change it, the rest of your life will be wrecked too. And so Paul's saying here, be renewed in your mind, in the spirit of your mind. And he's saying, change how you've acted. Don't allow those things and how you've acted in the past to dictate how you act today and how you'll act in the future. He's saying, be renewed in your mind. You should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles in the futility of their mind. It's futile to allow something that happened 20, 30 years ago to dictate how you act today into what your future is going to be like. If you'll take that to God, He'll change that for you. He'll take that hurt out of you. He'll if you'll give it, the memory of it over to Him, and you say, you know what, Lord, you deal with it. You deal with them. I'm not going to harbor this anymore. I'm not going to let it affect my mind. It'll change. And you'll be free of it. And your life will be on a different path because it will not have that same control it's got its hooks in you and it controls you. But if you'll let it go, it won't have the same effect on you. It won't have those hooks in you. And it won't control how you act and what you perceive things as. And you'll be free to be different. So Paul's here saying, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Allow God to help you renew your mind. To get rid of those things that the only place they exist anymore is in your mind, and they control you. And they don't exist anywhere. There are so many people that are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and things control them over things that were said when they were a kid. And they've internalized that, and it affects how they like themselves, how they perceive themselves, what they think of themselves. If you don't like you, it's difficult to like other people. And so if you'll take that to God and you'll say, help me with this, and He'll help you break that stronghold out of your mind, and it'll not affect you like it has to this point. It can change, and you can be free of it. And your mind can be renewed to the things of God, and He can take that hurt and that bitterness and that pain, and the feelings of unworthiness, and he can take all of that out. And then you can change your identity. You can draw your identity from him and allow him to tell you that you're worthy, that you're perfect, that he created you exactly like you are, that he has a plan for you, that he has a reason that he made you the way he made you. And it can change your life and it can change your future, but you have to let it go. You have to renew your mind. And you can do that with the Word of God and the Spirit of God. He'll help you and you can be free. I hope you got something out of this. I wanted to share that with you because this young lady and I were talking, and it just reminded me of how much my mind has changed and how much things are different today than they were 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And so I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you will take it to heart and you'll think about it and meditate it and take those hurts and those bitterness and those problems to God and let him take it out of your life and change your mind. All right. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.